Let's get to the details, shall we? Now we've reached the limits. The corruption is eating us up, and there's a strong call for action to end the canker. A survey conducted by the AntiCorruption Consortium and released in Accra yesterday confirmed that bribery is actually taking place at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, the Passport Office, and the Ghana Police Service. The survey was to assess citizens' understanding of corruption, their perceptions and actual experiences of corruption, and that show that Ghanaians still perceive the police, political parties, and the judiciary as being corrupt. We'll be having this conversation in the studio with me. Will be Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative at the local wing of Transparency International. Elena Adair has been speaking. Here's what she says before we get into the conversation.
The recommendations that have been documented in the reports, together with the commitment that were made by stakeholders that we invited here. Talk about the DVLA made commitment, the Passport Office has made commitment, SHRAJ has made commitment, the Judicial Service has made commitment. We will follow up on them to ensure that the commitment they have made and the recommendations in the report are implemented together so that we can see some changes happening if we have to conduct this survey going forward. We wanted to generate information to actually enhance our advocacy, and that's, I think, we have been successful.
Well, in that report, SHRAJ doesn't really do badly, but the point is that the media does better than SHRAJ in who the public trusts to deal with corruption. Here is the Commissioner of SHRAJ, Joseph Whittle.
At the district level, there are institutions of governance that should be approached to fight corruption. And one of the institutions they have surveyed is SHRAJ. Their point is that people say 14% of the people sampled say that they don't trust SHRAJ to fight corruption. My answer to that is that the issues with the SHRAJ's mandate to fight corruption are structural. Structural in the sense that ultimately in Ghana, you know that corruption is criminalized. When they say corruption, it's a crime. So the people do not understand why they not go to the police and rather come to SHRAJ. That's one. Two, the aspects of the mandate of the conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is about abuse of office. As corruption. So why would they trust us to fight something that they don't believe exists? They don't see payment of facilitation fees as corruption. They don't see conflict of interest as corruption. So the pointer rather is that we need to get the people to appreciate that there are other forms of corruption is not bribery. But conflict of interest, abuse of power, abuse of discretion, and facilitation fee payment for services are forms of corruption. And when that happens, they should be able to come to an office like SHRAJ.
So that is Joseph Whittle, Commissioner for the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. They are responding to the results of this research. And so I've got in the studio with me Elena Adair, who is the Programs Manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative. She'll help us understand exactly what this result and what this survey was all about. Was it to gauge, you're welcome by the way, was it to basically gauge the corruption perception in the country?
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. This survey is a result of a consortium initiative made up of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the Send Ghana, and the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. We implementing a project by the USAID, funded by the USAID, that seeks to build capacity of citizens to be able to shun corruption in all its forms, as well as help with institutional strengthening, institutional building in all its forms, in order to ensure that we have corruption reduced drastically or eradicated. And so as part of that, we need to document evidence. And as you may be aware, the Ghana Integrity Initiative in the past have done a lot of surveys around institutions and also around the national level. And so the novelty of this was to go to other places apart from what we usually do. And so you would realize that our sample size alone had increased so much.
Okay.
We had about 6 people to 18,000, and so that's a novelty.
So about,
and we
so
also
this one
went
looked at 18,000 participants.
Yes, and we also had going to 49 out of the 216 districts. That's also very huge, considering a sample. And in this survey, there are 3 things we were looking for. Perception, citizens' knowledge around the issue of corruption. If citizens understood how corruption manifested in the first place. Secondly, what were citizens' perceptions around the issue of corruption across the various districts? And then finally, we wanted to also know citizens' experiences of corruption as a canker in this country.
This is not the first time you have done this kind of research. So apart from broadening the participation in terms of broadening the sample for this particular one, what makes it special? What makes it different?
The focus makes it special. In this case, we are not looking at the broader picture of the national level. We are looking at the district-specific issues. And so the survey has various district reports compiled with which we are going to work with the citizens groups we have across the districts to engage the district level stakeholders to put in place interventions to ensure that corruption at the local level is eschewed.
So you look at the district, which one of the districts or which of the districts did you find to be the most corrupt?
In fact, we need to do that, but we did a regional level analysis, which was presented yesterday. And you look across in the regions and you realize that Ashanti region had the highest level of perception when it comes to corruption for most of the issues, whether it is manifesting in the form of bribery, whether it's facilitation payments, it's abuse of discretion, it's conflict of interest, or whatever form corruption manifests. Ashanti region topped in that area.
I see.
Yes.
And which other region comes after Ashanti region?
If you look at it, we have Ashanti, we have the Eastern region, we also have the Western region coming up, the Northern region as well have scores which are in those regards high.
If you can take us through all 10 regions, it wouldn't be bad at all.
All right, so let me look at that and give you some information on the various regions. But let me quickly say that the unfortunate thing here is that when we talk about corruption, because citizens did not have awareness or knowledge on the other forms of corruption, the predominant one everybody knew was bribery. The next to it was embezzlement, and then fraud comes up. And so it's difficult to judge the whole corruption scene with just all the manifestations of corrupt behavior. Just like the Shrike boss was talking about, we realize that people do not even understand that nepotism is a form of corruption. And that is unfortunate, because if we are using nepotism as to facilitate our ways of getting jobs and other things, then it's unfortunate. So we are saying that we use bribery as our proxy to indicate. And so in this analysis, you cannot generalize that for corruption,
Ashanti region
thank you,
corruption.
that is it. And so I'm very hesitant to give figures as to whether that it is bribery. On the issue of bribery, Ashanti region comes up tops. You look at the graphs and it's up there. That's and then when you look at the institutions as well, then
let's finish with the regions and then we can look at the institutions. So we're looking at the regions where Ashanti comes when it comes to bribery.
Yes, and then we look at the central region, the western region, the eastern region as well. The region that does very well in all the scores, be it facilitation payments, whatever form of corruption it is the Brown Half region. And that is I don't know what is happening there,
Okay.
but the scores there are very low, as well as the Volta region when
Okay.
it comes to those issues.
I see.
Yes.
Well, now we can look at the institutions. Now,
Yes.
you cited a place like the DVLA as one of the main areas of concern when it comes to corruption. Take us through that one.
Yes. As I indicated earlier, we talked about perceptions as one of our objectives, going out to find out if citizens' perceptions of corruption differed from their experiences or actual experiences when it comes to encountering these institutions. And some institutions mentioned when it comes to the perceptions of corruption, the first that came up when it comes to perceptions is the police.
Okay.
And I don't think this is too surprising.
It's, of course not.
Yes, it's
Of
not
course
too
not.
surprising. You see that the police is high up there, nobody comes near them. Then we have the political parties, we have the judiciary, the DVLA, education, utilities, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the health sector. And it's worrying to see that the service providers are cited as places where corruption is rife. That's not a good thing, because these services are due, and people who work there are paid to provide utilities to us. And so if there is anything going on in the form of bribery for us to acquire those services, then that is serious,
That is
especially when
serious.
it comes to education and health.
Education
But
and
then
health.
when you look at the issue around actual experiences of people, then that's where the difference comes in.
Okay.
And so you would realize that when it comes to experiences of corruption, there was a sharp contrast.
Okay.
Instead of the police taking the lead, we saw the customs or the GRA, Customs Division, taking first position.
Okay.
Meaning
So
citizens
people-
who have had experience or encounters with the customs had paid bribes on a frequent basis than they would have paid to any of the other institutions. And the second that came up is DVLA, where we go for our licenses and the rest. Then we had the third institution being the passport office.
Okay.
The passport office, and then the police follow in that regard. We had 76% for the customs, 74% for DVLA. We have the passport office also coming up with 63%, and then the police 61%.
I see.
So it means when it comes to actual experiences of bribery or bribe taking and giving,
the Ghana Revenue Authority is
tops.
is tops. I see.
And it's not the whole Ghana Revenue Authority, it's the Customs Division.
The Customs Division of the
Customs
GRA.
Division of the GRA.
That's pretty interesting. Well, because later in the bulletin we'll be talking to the actually my colleague Raymond Aqua has already spoken to the boss of the GRA, so we've got that interview coming up. So it's interesting that they come up here on the ladder.
Yeah,
and at the top.
Let me add that during the lunch we invited those who had come up tops to make responses. We shared the reports with them earlier for them to read and understand exactly what went into the methodology and everything about the report, and then they make appropriate responses at the lunch. And I must admit they were there.
Okay.
They all accepted that these are real issues, and most of them, for instance, the passport office indicated they have put in place new structures to deal with the issue. But then most of the time the issue is that we do not see the visibility of some of these actions. But with the passport office, they talked about the biometric system. Which should reduce the incidence of, exactly. And so some of these interventions, when they get out there, we also need to be able to educate people to know that there is no need, and that is what admittedly he agreed, that because Accra is center, everybody wants to come to Accra because they feel they would get the services here. And for that matter, we need to get people to understand that if you are doing your biometric passport registration, you do not have to contact anybody. You walk into the office and then you deal with them after you have filled your online form.
Well, I guess they would have to deal with the long queues that people have to go through to get to the passport office. They'll have to deal with the bureaucracies that people have to go through, because it makes it really frustrating. And then they resort to
exactly. And we have as well highlighted some of those. They agreed there are issues they want to also deal with. Okay. And so let's hope and pray that these commitments they made would not just be the rhetoric as usual, but then we would be seeing some action, because we as well indicated would be following up with them to put in place some initiatives to ensure that some of these things, at least what we can do is to do advocacy and education around the issues. Some of these things are dealt with at that level. Advocacy
and education. Now, dealing with corruption, your report also has something on who the public trusts to deal with corruption most. And in that case, if you can take us through that one, we can have a very quick chat on it, and then we'll look at the recommendations briefly.
And that was another interesting one, because I wondered how come Ghanaians trust the media so much. The media came up first.
Right.
And maybe thinking about it, I believe it's because the media are visible. And we hear stories of investigative journalists coming up with reports, the analysis of our time, the Manasseh's, the exposés multimedia group comes out with. So we are not too surprised. But then we have as well NGOs coming up
after media?
No, the government, central government comes after media. So we
people trust the central government? So how does it work?
That is it. It means some interventions maybe that were put in place some time back, people trusted those. Because, and also I also believe that because everybody knows the buck stops with the presidency or with those at the higher levels of power, then they believe that if there must be change, then it should emanate from there. And so we shouldn't be too surprised that some people think so. But the figures are negligible. Mind you, those who said they do not trust anybody, it's almost as if 13%, it's almost as equal as those who do not trust the SHRAJ, the independent mandated institution who is supposed to fight corruption at the national level. Is not that trusted to fight corruption. But then the NGOs also come up very well. Then we have religious bodies. And so we need to begin to be thinking about...
Who is at the bottom?
At the bottom, in fact, I didn't look at that one, but let me look for it. But then
if you're looking
there is no trust. What is at the bottom is that some people feel there's nobody, whoever is there cannot fight corruption. And that is it. They don't have trust in people to fight corruption. Any institution, be it NGO, be it media, or whoever it is, we don't trust that we can fight corruption. And especially it's also because apathy levels have come up because we see inactions of many of our governments. And so that I believe that should be the issue.
Let's look at the recommendations that the report makes, and then we can wrap up this conversation. What are the recommendations going forward? What can we do? Should we do?
And so we propose some recommendations, and we believe if we act with those, they would be very good. So to central government, one of the recommendations we make is to resource SHRAJ. And if you heard the commissioner lamenting, he says they are the independent body to fight corruption, but they are not located in all the districts across this country. And if you heard the numbers, it's not good, because the other institutions have offices everywhere, for instance, NCCE. And so if SHRAJ is to fight corruption, they must be with the people. If they are not there, how do we fight corruption effectively? So that's one of the things, resourcing them with both the locational space, but then also with staff and the necessary resources to be able to implement the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. Then secondly, we would want to see government instituting measures that show that there is corruption investigation going on. Apart from the investigations, after that, we should see sanctions being meted out, and these sanctions should be visible. Because there are times you talk about the issue and the retort is, but we dealt with these people. Unfortunately, we have not heard and nobody knows about it. So we need to see visibility of such actions. Thirdly, we want to see government instituting measures to motivate institutions who are performing creditably. And this can come from the various institutions themselves who are set up in the regions. And so, for instance, if the police in Ashanti region are seen to be fighting corruption and promoting integrity at that level, there is nothing wrong with commending them, putting in place positive sanctions or motivational messages to get people to trust this institution. Then people would want to compete to do more along those lines. But then with us, the media and civil society, we need to also do a lot in education. Because if we ask people and they don't know that abuse of discretion is corruption, then it means we need to do more education to get people to understand what corruption is in totality, and it's not just being bribery, embezzlement, and fraud. We as well need to ensure that at the local level, the decentralized institutions begin to build trust. Because if the people say they are not doing anything at all to fight corruption, it means they are not seeing anything.
Right.
So they should begin to build trust, as well as put in place measures at the local level to show accountability. If there is accountability, there is the building of trust, and this results in integrity. We believe our development partners also have a role to play in this case, because they can push government when they have their policy talks with government to assign money or resources for the implementation of the plan we all put together to fight corruption. If we do not do that, if our development partners do not do that, we will all be lamenting. We would put in place the beautiful policies, but we will not implement them.
Okay, sounds like a very good one for me. The Ashanti region, we understand, is at the top when it comes to bribery. They're followed by the Eastern, Western, Northern, Central region as well. But two regions that seem to be doing very good, of course, the ones that she can remember, is the BA, the Bonafo region, and the Volta region. So this is from a report that was conducted recently. It's with the AntiCorruption Consortium. Okay, and it's been led by the Ghana Integrity Initiative. I've been having this conversation with with Mary Awilana Adair, who is Programs Manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative. So we say a very big thanks to you for coming through and for making us know what's happening with corruption. They've got some interesting recommendations for government as well. Well, let's move on from corruption and talk about some other things. Now, today, the expected showdown in a whole circuit court came off, but not between the police and those arrested for attempting a separation of parts of the Volta region from Ghana. They call it Western Togoland. 3 men belonging to the Homeland Study Group Foundation were put before the court on charges of treason for their roles in the attempted breakaway. The courts declined jurisdiction today, throwing the matter into further uncertainty. On the line from Ho is Volta Regional Correspondent Maoli Yevu Agbe. Hello, Maoli, can you hear me? Hello, Maoli, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Gifty.
Okay, so how did that hearing go? We know the ultimate outcome, but tell us how it went today. You have been speaking to the lawyer as well. Let's start with what happened in court.
Early in the morning, there was a very high expectation of showdown in the court. That was supposed to be the High Court. And the case was moved from the High Court in the morning to the lower court as the Magistrate Court. And the accused persons have to move from Magistrate Court 1 to 2, and we have to return back from Court 2 to 1 to be heard. Now, when the case was finally called, the lawyer for the accused, Achu Adakwe, that's the counsel for the accused, maintained strongly that the case is not that of treason for which the 3 persons have not been charged. He cited Article 19, Clause 17 and 18 of the 1992 Constitution, and arguing strongly that the case is not that of treason and that the people are being held by the police arbitrarily. However, the magistrate maintained that the court is not competent, does not have a jurisdiction, a competent jurisdiction over such a case of treason for which the police are holding the 3 men who are part of the Homeland Study Group Foundation, who were arrested on March 6th this year. I must say that it drew a lot of attention where there were so many people who thronged the premises of
now,
the court.
Hold on for me, Mauli, so that we can hear from the lawyer for the accused persons. You've been speaking to them. Here's what they had to say.
Clients have been wrongfully arrested and detained and wrongfully charged for the offense of treason. And treason is defined in Article 19, Clause 17 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And the meaning that carries across the definition is that when you wage war against Ghana, or you use violent means, or you assist somebody to use these violent means to overthrow the Republic of Ghana, or the institutions of Ghana, or the policies of Ghana, that amounts to treason. But what you see here is that some people are wearing T-shirts on which it is written "Our Day," and 9th May is our day. We all know the meaning of "Our Day" in our local parlance. So if the police say that amounts to treason, you can all witness the humiliation they have suffered in court. So we will follow them to see what they will do next.
What has been the decision of the court?
The court will not entertain them. The court refused to entertain them on such cosmetic charges.
What then is the fate of your clients?
My clients, the police will not release them as they are refusing to do, but we shall advise them the next step to take.
Thank you.
So that is lawyer for the accused person speaking there. Mauli, I still got you on the line, have I?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you've also been speaking to the founder and chairman of the group, Charles Kwame Kudoji, and he's been insisting that they're not violating the Constitution. What more has he been saying to you?
Actually, according to him, they were only drawing attention to what they know as a fact, historical fact, that they think that the people of the area they are seeking a cessation for should know about, and that they're bringing the attention of the authorities of the nation too. That is the Western Togola, which they're trying to get established as a country on its own. And so for them, they are not breaking any laws of this country. For them, they are only trying to establish historical facts. And for that matter, they are also they are not also taking up arms against the state. For that matter, they are not engaging in any act of violation of any rules or laws of this country. And so for them, the police coming into the matter is making it more murkier and making it more difficult to handle.
So we can hear him as well now, and then when we come back from hearing him, we'll engage you on what the people in the region themselves have been saying about this.
Now brought me to court. I have come and the magistrate, the judge says he will not listen to that thing because
they lack jurisdiction.
My friend,
thank you.
Because the charges leveled against me and my men will not merit treason, and that he didn't understand. He will not let sit on that matter. And so we were all driven away and we are going back. We will go to wherever they would like to take us to. That is just that. We are not committing any act of treason in any way at all. I have some kata. We haven't committed any act of treason, not in the least. All that we are saying are historical facts that we are laying bare. The understanding of the populace of Western Togoland, a country statutorily established in 1922 by the League of Nations, when the land as Togo under the German government colony was cut into two, divided into two. The one given to the English is getting lost, and that's what we are finding. That is our homeland. Nationalism, citizenship is only one property that nobody can take from you in this world. That is what we are fighting.
Okay. Would you want to back on step.
All right. So Charles Kwame Kujoji, who is founder and chairman of the Homeland Study Group Foundation, demanding a breakaway from the country. Mauli, you're still with me. What are the people saying there in the region?
Well, it's been a mixed reaction to what's ensuing in the court. And so for a lot of these people, there are some who think that there should be a national dialogue over the issue and resolution to it once and for all. Because this has been a fight that has existed for several years, more than 3 decades. It existed for so long, and those who trace the historical background go far back as the days of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when this fight began with the Bloody movement and many other movements that came after that. And so for a lot of citizens of this part of the country, there needs to be a national dialogue over the issue and a resolution brought to it. For some, the court case, the arrest and the subsequent court case also, is rather bringing to the fore for those who have not even heard of some of these facts for a long time. This is bringing the issue to the fore, and it's interesting to listen to some of the things that they have to say. But for some others, they think that is a matter that is dead on arrival, and there's not going to be any fruit out of it in terms of the cessation of this part of the country to become a country on its own, as they call it, the Western Togoland.
The citizens or the leadership as well, are the thoughts of the leaders and the people the same? I mean, is there a consensus on this, on the quest for a national dialogue, or is it, just something that the people are saying that doesn't necessarily reflect what the leadership of the region will be saying?
Well, it's a mixed reaction across a section of the public in the Volta region, and for the leadership of this group, yes, it is a possible move to get this part of the country restored back to what they refer to as the Western Togoland, as a country on its own. And so for them, it is something doable, and they are bent on ensuring that comes to pass. But for others who are on the fence watching and looking at what's happening, it's a mixed reaction. Some believe that it is dead on arrival. Others think that, well, they should be given a hearing and there should be a national dialogue around it. There are others who also believe that this is just against the law, it's treasonable, and any act in that direction must be frowned upon. And so it's a mixed reaction on the street everywhere. And it's very surprising was the number of people who stormed the court today in support of this group. A lot of people came around to our surprise. So many people. I was told I think a group came in an urban bus, and so that tells you that they've had some support in the background. They may not be very open in terms of their organization, how they operate, but we have seen for the first time today in the court that there have been quite a number of people, not only older people, the elders who. The very old people who some of them holding walking sticks, but the very young people as well. And so we've seen some level of support base for these people, for this group. However, we're yet to know the fate
exactly. We can't be sure exactly what's going to happen. Finally, before I let you go, Mauli, take us through what we do know that the people seem to be divided on this matter, whether or not it should be the Volta region should be separated or should be divided, etc. But the minister, there's a minister for the region. Has he been reacting to this, or has the regional is it the RECSEC? Has the RECSEC been reacting to this? We understand earlier that they've been in a meeting. Is it over this matter? Have they been responding to it?
No, the RECSEC, as we have known, the regional minister has put it out that the RECSEC have been gathering intelligence over some time, and so the security agencies have been picking some intelligence even prior to the arrest of the persons who are attending the groups of the police on March 6th. So there have been, the activities of this group have gone beyond this year. It's been there for several years. So there have been some intelligence gathering on their activities over the year. And in recent times, they asked, if you watch the proceedings in Parliament during the vetting of the regional minister, that's one of the questions he had to respond to. And he gave an indication that this is just treasonable. Is an act of treason and must be frowned upon, and is referred to national security. So indeed, the security agencies have constantly, and as also indicated by the Regional Police Command, that's the regional commander, the ACP Asomahine, that they have been monitoring the activities of the group, and the last straw that broke the camel's back was the printing of this T-shirt. And the distribution of this T-shirt, that is seeking to suggest that something that was going to happen on May 9th, and possibly, perhaps, a declaration of independence for this part of the region that they call the Western Togoland.
Okay. So very big thanks to you, Maoli, for doing that good job for us in the Volta region. But right now, though, let's give you a little bit of understanding so we can have a look at the area and the contention and the background to the current demand. So the Togoland encompasses the nation of Togo and what is now the Volta region of Ghana. So just a bit of information so you know. In 1884 to 1914, the whole area was with French Togoland, which is now Togo. It was a German protectorate. Now, in 1914, following the outbreak of the First World War, the territory was invaded by British and French forces. By 1916, the territory was split into British and French administrative regions. By 1922, both territories formalized into British Togoland and French Togoland. And this is to help you understand the background to this demand, the demand that these people are making. By 1954, the British presented a statement on the future of British Togoland to the United Nations Trusteeship Council. And that statement, this is a quote from that statement. It says that objectives of trusteeship will be achieved if Togoland attained self-government as an integral part of an independent Gold Coast. And I'm going to take that again. It says objectives of trusteeship will be achieved if Togoland attained self-government, as an integral part of an independent Gold Coast. Fast forward to 1955, and in 1955, the UN dispatched visiting mission to they visited the British Togoland. In the same year, the mission recommended a plebiscite with UN appointing Senior Eduardo Espinosa Presto as plebiscite commissioner. And then by May 9, and just so you know what the May 9 is all about, the May 9 that they had on their T-shirt, what the May 9 was all about is that by May 9, 1956, the plebiscite was organized. So that was what happened in May 9, 1956. And then the result of that plebiscite was 93,095 people for union with the Gold Coast, whereas 67,492 people were in favor of a separation. So those are the figures there for you. By May 9, 1956, the plebiscite was organized, and these are the results, indicating that 93,095 people were for the union of the Gold Coast, whereas 67,492 people were in favor of a separation. So those are just bits and pieces of information there that can help you understand, gives you a background to the issue that we're talking about. So May 9 basically has a very significant meaning for the people who are demanding the breakaway or demanding the division of the Volta region. That's how we wrap up that conversation on what's happening, but we still wait to see what the court's verdicts will be on this matter. Right now, though, we know that the case is thrown out because of jurisdiction. Definitely, they'll be going to another court. Is it treason? Is it not? Those are questions that will be answered by the court. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando Apia.